everyone, welcome to today's video. For today, I'm going to be showing you how to make this really gorgeous and elegant greeting card using our So Much Love stamp set. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love the way that this turned out, and I think it's a great card to really give to anybody, to just kind of tell them that you're thinking about them and tell them thank you for being part of your life. So before we get into it, I wanted to mention that all of the products that I'm going to be talking about today can be purchased 24/7 just by going to littlемooncreation.stampinup.net, or you can visit my website, which is littlemooncreation.com, and you can find a bunch of information on how to purchase all of these products and a bunch of my other projects that I've previously shared as well. So I wanted to mention that before we jump into it. And then the second thing that I want to mention is about our So Much Love stamp set. So you can actually get this stamp set completely free just by joining my Stampin' Up team through the month of September. So if you are interested, you can get this stamp set, another stamp set, some embellishments, some paper goodies, all on top of the incredible starter kit that you already can get, which is $99, and you get $125 worth of product. So it is a fantastic time to join Stampin' Up and my amazing little team. If you are interested, I'd love to talk to you more about it, and you can always visit my website to join as well. So let's start talking about today's project. So as I said, we're going to be using the So Much Love stamp set, and it's a very sleek, elegant card. While I think this card is absolutely gorgeous, I wanted to show you a couple of different ways you could go about doing it. So I think this card is really simple. And so I wanted to give you guys a little bit extra than just the card for today. I really wanted to show you a few different ways you could go about really the coloring aspect of this card. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I have my piece here of Whisper White. And as always, all of the dimensions for the paper that I'm using, all of the specifics on the products, all of that is always in the coordinating blog post, which is the first link down below. So I'm going to grab my piece of Whisper White here. I'm also going to grab my Stays-On ink. And I'm going to grab the stamp here. So there are two different flower images in this stamp. I'm going to be using this one today, but this one is also really gorgeous. They're very similar. This flower just is a little more, I don't know, it looks a little more 3D to me, I guess, maybe the right way to put it. But this is what I'm going to be using for today. No particular reason. I just it's a little bit of a larger image. It's not much larger, but it's a little bit larger. And so I just like how much space it takes up on the card. So we are going to take our Stays-On, and I am going to stamp this in the bottom left corner of my piece of Whisper White. Just like so. Super stinking easy, right? I'm going to zoom in a bit as we start to color this. So I'm going to be using two different markers today for coloring. These are our Stampin' Write markers. Most people like to do blending and coloring with our Stampin' Blends. I've talked about it before. I am not a huge coloring person. And when I say that, I mean it more in the sense of I really like coloring just for like relaxation and things like that. But I don't... I'm not the best at coloring like this flower, for example, and making it have perfect shading and look really realistic and perfect. It's just not my thing. It's just not my thing. So I really prefer to color with our Stampin' Write markers, but what you can do is you can get a really beautiful image with our Stampin' Write markers, and you can do some blending with them. So that's kind of what I'm going to show you today. So the first kind of level we'll talk about is the easiest way to do it. And the easiest way to do it is to just color the image, right? So the marker I'm using today is Purple Posy, which honestly is one of my favorite colors right now. I really like this color. I've been using it a bit and I just love it. I really wish we had the ink pad. We don't, but I really wish we did. And it's an in color that's going to be retiring when this current catalog ends, and so I'm trying to get all the use I can out of it. So you'll see my one tip is that I'm not coloring like up and down or left to right. I'm going in small circle motions, and that just helps to prevent having any kind of weird lines in your flower. You might see some spots that look a little splotchy. Once the ink starts to dry and settle, that splotchiness really goes away. But if you find that you like miss some spots or you really have a lot of splotchiness, you can go over it again just like this. So I'll be honest, I'm doing a very rough coloring job here because I'm just kind of doing this one to show you a general idea of what this will look like. So we have all of our little flowers over here, the little buds. Don't forget about those. So that was Purple Posy. And then I also am going to be using Pear Pizzazz, and that's what I'm going to do all of the leaves in today. So the leaves are a little bit harder to get that circle technique in there, but they're also a little more forgiving because they're leaves. So if you kind of follow the shape and the curve of the leaves, it's a lot easier to do. So let's just color all of these really fast. And like I said, I'm doing a very, very rough coloring job. I'm not doing my best work just because I want to give you the general idea of what this looks like when it's done. And then when we go on to the next version, when we step it up a notch, I will promise I'll put some more effort into it to do a better coloring job. But I just wanted to give you guys a very simplistic, if you're somebody that just wants to color like I said, I like doing this because I find it relaxing. If you're somebody that's like that as well, this is a really good way to kind of do that and have it be really relaxing and fun. And it makes a beautiful card. So you could stop here. You just do a flat layer of the color. Like I said, it looks a little splotchy, but as it starts to dry, that splotchiness will go away. Like it doesn't look as splotchy in person as it does on camera. You could absolutely leave it here. Stamp your sentiment, mount it on your paper, on your card base and all that, and be done. Absolutely beautiful card. Once you do this, though, you can kind of take it up a notch and you can take it to the next level and add in a little bit of shading. I don't do a lot of shading. It's hard to do it with the Stampin' Write markers. So to show you that, what I did already, and I'm just really showing you my technique of how I kind of shade a little bit with my Stampin' Write markers. So what I did with this one, I did the exact same thing. I colored the entire image with that flat color. And then what I did is you'll see all of these kind of darker areas here. I took my same Purple Posy marker, and where there would be some shadows, so where the petals overlap each other, or they don't overlap, but where they're right next to each other, that's where there would be some shadow. And so I just went in with my Purple Posy marker and I just did a little line in all of those areas, and I let it sit and I let it kind of dry. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Purple Posy marker and I'm going to be a little more deliberate and go over just the petal areas. Or I'm sorry, I'm coloring now in the, I'm doing one petal at a time. And so what this is doing is we added more ink to that area where we got that shading in. So all of these areas here that have this dark ink, those are going to be slightly darker because they already have more ink on the paper than what we're doing now. And so it just adds a natural little tiny shadow. It's nothing crazy, but it's a nice little bit of shading that you can get really easily with your Stampin' Write markers. And so this is as far as I'm taking it. You could do this a couple of times to get a lot of shading in there. I think I did this twice for my sample card. And it's really hard to see the shading. You can actually see the shading pretty well in these little buds on camera, I feel like. But you just get the slightest hint of shading and it just looks really, really nice. I really like the way that it turns out. And as you can see, it's a pretty simple technique. It's not difficult to do at all. So I'm going to speed through coloring these petals. And you can also see that I'm not doing that circle technique either, because I'm just following the shape of the petals. And you don't get those kind of weird lines as much as you do when you're just doing your flat base and you're doing the entire flower. So I don't worry about it as much when I start to follow just the shape of the petals. It doesn't really seem to cause an issue or give me any streakiness. But if you did find that, you could do that circle motion and that should help alleviate some of that. And I know I'm getting all quiet because I'm trying to concentrate and color all of this. So something like this one that's a little bit bigger, I am going to do that little circle motion in some of those larger areas. But then we get back to some of these where you go on the outside and then there's not much there. I'm also just going to do this very lightly on my little buds here. And hopefully this starts to dry a bit where you can see the shading. I will say that you do have to wait just a little bit. You really have to wait until the entire piece is super, super dry to see how that shading is. And if you find that it dries and you don't like the look of it, you think it needs to be blended a little bit more, just go back in with your marker and do a little bit of blending. It's really easy to do. I would say before you mount it and everything, wait a few minutes. I would give it a good like 15 minutes. I honestly set mine aside and I go walk away and do something else and then come back 15, 20 minutes later where I feel like it's really, really dry, and then assess the situation and see, do I want to add a little bit more? Do I like it? Do I feel like I need a little bit more shading? Do I need to blend a little bit more? So you can just kind of play with it and see how you like it. For the leaves are super easy. So the leaves already have these lines on them. And so all I'm doing with my marker is I follow those lines. And then you can go in and you can color over the entire thing again. I personally like leaving it kind of like that. I think it gives it some more dimension and it really stands out. You can really see all of the shading that you did. So I like leaving it like this, and I'm pretty much done with my coloring at this point. So I'm going to take this stamp here that says "You made my day," and I'm going to bring back in my ink. And I'm going to stamp it right here. So there are like these two little leaves right here, and I like to kind of snug it up in there. Just like that. Oh my gosh, I love this so, so, so much. So I'm going to take my ink. I'm going to move this guy out of the way so I don't stick my fingers in it. And just let me pull this one in so you can kind of get a comparison. So for one, when you do this technique, you do your shading, the color gets a little bit darker. So it's definitely not as dark as it's definitely not as light as the purple posy marker is just on its own. So that is something to consider if you really wanted the purple posy color just kind of the way that it is. You're probably not going to get that. You're going to get a little bit darker version of that. But you can really see the difference between the two of these. This one is much deeper and darker. You can see those shadows in it. I really like the look of this one more, but if you just wanted to do something really simple and you only had 10 minutes to create a card, this is probably a good option for you, and you don't have to fuss with it. And it's also a good step into coloring. So again, you can get really comfortable doing just this flat color and feel really good about that, and then step it up next time and take those next couple of steps and add in some shading, and don't get too flustered about it. Don't feel like it has to be a big thing. Just go for it and it'll be fantastic. So now we're going to take this piece and we are going to mount it onto our card base. Maybe if I can get there we go. I am using regular Whisper White for this. So one thing that you just want to consider is where you've colored, and you can kind of see it through the paper. Where you've colored, I would just do a couple extra bits of adhesive there, because it is just regular Whisper White. You're putting a lot of ink and a lot of moisture on the paper. It can get the tendency to curl a little bit. So I just like to put a couple extra strips of adhesive there, so when I stick it down onto my purple posy, I know it's going to be there and I'm going to get it as smooth as possible. So then I'm just going to take this, and like I said, I'm going to center it on my piece of purple posy, just like that. Then I have my card base here, which is in basic gray, and let me zoom it out just a smidge. There you go. So this is basic gray cardstock. I am going to maybe put some adhesive on the back. I am using Stampin' Seal Plus, mainly because I wanted that extra bit of adhesive that I put where the flower was. I wanted to make sure that stuck down really well. And I'm the kind of person that once I use one adhesive, I just kind of use it for the rest of my project if it makes sense. And in this case, it does. So put that on our card base just like that. I'm going to take my bone folder really quickly and just get that a good crease. And then the last thing that I decided to do was take these Pearl Basic Jewels, and I just put a few of them down here in this corner. I thought that it looked really nice. I did 5. You could do like 3, I think would look okay. I think I started with 3 and then I didn't like the way that it looked, so I added a couple more. But But you know what? We're going to stop with 3 for this one, just to mix it up a little bit. So that is the card for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I really hope you liked learning possibly a new coloring technique, or at least seeing how I like to color some images like this. So just as a reminder, you can purchase all of the products that I talked about today just by going to littlemooncreation.stampinup.net. Visit the coordinating blog post to get all of the specifics on this project that we just went through, or you can just visit my website at littlemooncreation.com to see a bunch of stuff that I've done previously, this one and a bunch of others. And also don't forget, if you are interested in getting this So Much Love stamp set completely free as an added bonus for becoming a demonstrator in the month of September, I would love to have you on my team. We're doing so many fun things right now. Zoom calls, craft nights, events. It's so much fun, and I would love to have you on my team. And especially you can get some extra goodies right now. So it's a perfect time to join. So if you are interested, you can also visit Little Moon Creation and sign up there, and I would love to have you. So I hope you are having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.